All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the World Event live stream that happened last Friday. Now, I was gone all weekend. I wanted to talk about it anyways. I got back. I got to watch it. And yeah. Last Tuesday on Nice and Nice Podcast, Voices of Vera, we talked about the world events and our opinion on the upcoming live stream, our predictions and everything. And it's my belief that this live stream could have been or could be the dark horse candidate live stream of the year, because world events are a huge deal. World events have a way of impacting the world. Long story short, you do something in the world based off of harvesting or collecting or killing mobs in an area or whatever, you can trigger a world event. A dragon can pop down and attack a city. Goblins can raid your town. All sorts of things can happen. They can raid a caravan, which is the demonstration that happened on Friday. Now, if you win, you go the whole MMO route and you get cool and awesome loot. And if you lose, depending on how big the world event is, bad things can happen. Now, if you go to the wiki, they go on to say that some events incorporate random story-driven interruptions to the normal flow of the world, such as blocking off specific roadways, having a random raid boss or mobs appear unexpectedly in a zone. Some may lead to wider consequences, such as climate change, plagues, volcanic eruptions, forest fires, or other natural disasters if they are not addressed. Now, this is why I thought that this potential, these world events can be such a big deal, because as you're progressing in a node, you need different forms of resources, right? Like, not every node area will have all the resources available. So if a roadway is blocked off, that means a trade route potentially is blocked off. If you have wild forest fires, that means that the lumber in your area is going to be severely diminished. So what's a loss for you and your group in your node that didn't do this world event correctly is now a boon for everybody, every other node around you competing, because now they have a resource that you can't easily get, and it's going to cost you for it. And so these sorts of things have, this is such a cool idea about Ashes of Creation, is that all of your choices, all of your decisions in the world actually have consequences. These world events that happen, you should do them. And if you don't do them, somebody's going to pay for it. And so I think that's a really cool idea. Now, they also say in the wiki, and we see in the live stream event, that as more and more people gather in to do the world event, the event gets harder and more difficult. And so I think that's another great mechanic. As we all know, we've all done the big world events in other MMOs, and sometimes they're so popular that you're just trying to get a few light attacks in. You're trying to get a few basic attacks in so you can get a drop and get your loot, and that's about all that it takes. But they have dynamically scaling events, so people get to actually enjoy the content if there are more people or if there are more people in your raid party. And so I think that's also a great idea. And so yeah, that was the lead up to it. I thought that this live stream was going to be a lot of fun. I thought we were going to learn quite a few things. And what did we learn? Well, they showed a PvE encounter where highwaymen are trying to raid a caravan, and it's your job to defend it. And they started off with 4 people, and it was pretty challenging. And then 4 more people jumped in, and it automatically queued everybody in the area participating in the event into the same raid, which it makes a lot of sense, but it's a cool way of incorporating group play dynamics into an MMO. Oftentimes, as they've talked about quite a bit, MMOs have lost that feel of group-based play. The massively multiplayer online is now massively single-player online, and yeah, they're doing these things where it's like, yeah, if you're all participating in the same event, you're all a group now. And so you see the 2 raid parties gather together, they group together, they fight off the hordes together. The hordes get harder, they get more difficult, and yeah, it's really cool. They have multiple waves attacks. Overall, the combat wasn't anything that we haven't seen. I was hoping to see a little bit more of like the fighter and ranger. They had a bunch of casters in the first group, and yeah, I mean, it was a big group battle, so you don't get to see everything fully entwining, but it was still a fun watch, and in my opinion. The idea for the loot tables was also really good. Would basically, right now they have it set up to where the longer you're participating in the event, the better the loot drop. But one of the devs, dropped a a nugget that he participated in the event better, so maybe he should get more of the loot. I think this is a great idea. I think this is a great idea to incentivize people to participate in these sorts of events. As we know, other events and other games that have happened, you're just there kind of light attacking, hoping to get an attack off so you can get a loot drop so that you can get your gear. Well, if they change these types of loot drops to a point to where if you're not doing much, you don't get the same type of get the same type of loot table as somebody that is, I think that incentivizes people to play and participate and actively be involved in the world, because you have to actively play in these environments in order to get the loot that you want. And so I think that's a great idea. I would love to see how they compound on that. I think the idea for damage dealers and healers makes a lot of sense. Damage done, healing done, these sorts of things. Be interesting to see how tanks in these encounters, damage taken, I don't know, how tanks in these encounters are able to get into these loot tables. So all this stuff was really, really interesting. I thought it was a good live stream. I know it was more of a bare bones one. They didn't do a big event like a dragon and stuff like that. I know they're saving a lot of these things for Alpha 2 and everything, but world events to me are a big deal. I think world events are awesome, and I think what they showed was pretty good. I thought it was a very good live stream. However, I was right that this live stream was the dark horse candidate for live stream of the year, but it wasn't because of the world events. It was because of the announcement that happened. So Steven Shreve dropped the bomb that Alpha 2 will be happening in 2024, which is next year. In the past, they have tried not to say when these things are going to happen unless they know they can meet the timetables. And so they've given themselves a whole year to say that 2024 is when Alpha 2 is going to come out. And I think we can narrow it down a little bit more than that, because you guys all know this, right? If you're working on a project and you think that, let me preface this. Let's say you're going to do a project, right? And you think it's going to take 3 days. Like you think if everything goes well, it's going to take 3 days. Worst case scenario, like everything goes poorly, you struggle, like whatever the project you're doing, like you buy the wrong materials, you have to go back to the store, get new materials, whatever the issues that arise, you encounter all of them every single time. You think worst case scenario, the project's going to take 5 or 6 days. So you say, hey, 6 days is when this will happen. Like, I am confident in saying that in the next week, this project will be done. I think it'll be done in 3 days, but I want to leave that leeway in case, something happens that we don't foresee. And so it's my belief that the quarter 3 of 2024 makes the most sense for the live stream reveal. I think it's early quarter 3 makes a lot of sense, giving themselves 3 to 6 months of leeway to troubleshoot any sort of issues in 2024. I wouldn't, if they thought that Alpha 2 would be ready in 2024, December of 2024, they would give themselves leeway, right? So in my opinion, through my tinfoil hat theory, is it's probably going to be ready sooner. It's probably going to be ready early, or late quarter 1 or quarter 2, and then they're going to have the announcement date, and they're giving themselves time to prepare for the worst case scenario. So that's my prediction. I think somewhere around next summer we will be having Alpha 2. I think it all makes sense. I think it all lines up pretty well. It's been my prediction for a little bit now that quarter 2 at best, quarter 3 of 2024 is around the time that we would expect it. And my opinion on that hasn't changed. I think that still stands. I think it still holds water. And worst case scenario now is, instead of me being a year off, I'm now maybe a quarter off. So yeah, that's where I stand now. Obviously, I want to get your guys' opinion on this, but it was a very good live stream. It was a very good reveal. I'm very excited for Alpha 2. As I've said before, it's perpetual alpha, so it will exist until the game goes live, meaning that if you have Alpha 2 access, you get to test and experience the different changes that they're going to incorporate into Alpha 2 and try things out until the game goes live. So that's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting for somebody that has been looking for MMO content for a little while now, and we finally have access to it. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide in the section below. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.